Hey everyone, how we doing today? This is James Sweeney, aka SplitSuit, here for thepokerbank.com. And in the Ask SplitSuit a Question thread, a couple people left hand histories and have asked hand histories other places like Facebook and Twitter. And what I'm going to do is start answering those slowly but surely. So this is just going to be a hand history review, and we're just going to talk about the hand itself, talk about the major concepts, and of course any ways that Hero could have played it better. So today's hand comes from Everson, and Everson prefaces the hand by saying, "Hello there, great opportunity, thanks. Here goes my question. River bluff catching and micro stakes. Definitely the most important street, it's actually where big pots live. I want to share one bread and butter hand I've played. Every time I see this hand I get a somewhat different idea. So here it goes." Okay, so in this hand, Hero opens with 9s from under the gun. It's a 6-handed table, but they're playing 5-handed. And size-wise is fine, but I would ask you why you're starting with this stack size. Why did you decide to play this hand with 75 big blinds? It's a little bit awkward. If you have the opportunity, I would definitely reload up to 100 or 200 big blinds if you're playing deep, rather than play with this awkward 75 big blind stack size. It's a really, really weird stack size to use. But in this hand, we do decide to open, end up getting a call by the small blind, go heads up to it, and the small blind in this situation is a 57-19 over 40 hands with a 0% 3-bet. And over 40 hands, we're not really going to be able to use any other HUD stats, and even using 3-bet is pretty liberal, to be honest. So we end up flopping second pair here. Small blind checks, Hero decides to bet. I like the fact that we're betting. There are certainly hands that are second best that can and will call. We're never going to fold out an ace. We're never going to fold out a better hand like 2-pair. But by the same token, I think from a player like this, we can definitely get looked up by draws. We can get looked up by 7x, 6x, all those kind of things. And if he folds out his equity with a king-queen, nothing that wrong with that anyway. So in this situation, half pot c-bet should certainly get the job done, and we're just kind of play poker from here if we get called, which we do. 10 on the turn, check, and Hero decides to check behind. And I would check behind here as a default as well. The 10 is kind of a bad card. It fills up draws, it fills up the gut shot with like a 9-10 type hand. Obviously we have 2 9s in our hand, and that starts to limit some of those combos, but still. And if we do decide to bet this, because the 10 is now an overcard to say the 7x or the 6x type hands, I'm thinking that I might not get called by those as much anymore. I mean, there's no guarantee one way or the other, but I'm still never folding out an ace. I'm never folding out a hand that beats me, and I'm not really sure that I'm getting value from enough second best. So in a situation like this, I'd probably just take the pot control line and check back just like Hero did. King on the river, end up facing a half pot bet. So at this point, we're getting exactly 3-1 on a call, which means we need to be good at least a quarter of the time. And in this situation, Hero does decide to call. And then he asks this. Was this a very bad call? I thought, would he bet King X or 10X? And wouldn't he have already bet or raised a strong Ace X? So it felt like more of a misdraw to me. Okay, so in a situation like this, we're getting 3-1. Let's just go back one tick. And you said that you thought, okay, you're not sure if he would bet King X or 10X, and you thought that he would have already bet or raised a strong Ace X. Well, let's just go with the Ace X thing first. If he had Ace X, there's no guarantee that he would have 3-bet at preflop, even something like Ace Queen or Ace Jack, because, well, he does have a pretty big gap in his VPIP PFR, does seem to be kind of passive fishy, definitely something to keep in mind. And then in this situation, would he necessarily, say he was just going to call preflop with Ace Jack? Not much reason to think that he's always going to check raise it either. And then the turn going check is pretty typical, and then he leads out on the river. So I don't think we can take out Ace X by any stretch of the imagination. Now, him betting King X or 10X, sure, is up for debate, but he's not a good player. So it's very reasonable to assume that he could bet that, not fully understanding showdown value or what the heck bets are supposed to accomplish. Bad players make bad bets all the time, and it wouldn't shock me to see him occasionally even turn up with like a 10x that he's not really sure why the heck he's betting it, but we end up paying him off. And then you mentioned the misdraws thing. So the misdraws thing is kind of tough because pretty much all the misdraws got there. 8-9 got there, 10-9 got there, King X with clubs got there, Queen Jack with clubs got there. Pretty much the only draw that we beat at this point would be like 9-6, which we block out, 4-5, or some sort of like baby clubs type hand, like 3-4 of clubs. So there just aren't a tremendous amount of combos of that. And getting 3 to 1 here, I don't really think I'm going to be good even a quarter of the time. It's not even just that we have fourth pair. It really isn't. It's just more about the range that he would bet on the river. And I don't think there's enough reason to think that we're not going to be value towning ourselves a large chunk of the time here. So in this situation, hero does end up calling, and he does end up winning against exactly 45, but I just don't think 45 is going to make up a large enough chunk of his range, or, I don't think there's going to be enough withdrawals in this situation to justify that call. Sure, it worked out this time, but I don't expect that to work out every time in the future by any stretch of the imagination. So Everson, thanks for the great hand, and hopefully this gets you started the next time you find yourself in a difficult river situation. And if you or anyone else has another poker hand that you'd like me to discuss, feel free to leave it in the Ask SplitSuit a Question thread. I'll leave a link for that in the description box. And please make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying these kinds of videos. So same as always, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Otherwise, good luck out there and happy grinding.